You're now watching the kitted out Christmas Heathen Studio.
Yeah, special edition, Festive.
Yeah, you're wearing a hat.
Well, yeah, Festive.
Yeah. So
And-
you'll be wearing a hat next week as well, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get a couple of Christmas episodes in.
Yeah, we're a bit behind because we lost one of our fur babies and everything just went out the window. But we've been reunited in Christmas miracle and back here talking about movies. And actually, the fairy lights and everything are very atmospheric considering the films we're about to talk about.
Yeah, very Black Christmas. What episode number is this? 28? Don't tell me you don't know either now.
I think it's 27. Well, like I said, my mind's been
Uh-huh.
completely on other things, but I think 27. Anyway, horror movie review. It's really more of just a chatting thing, but algorithm prefers reviews.
Let's just have a
that's what
chat.
we call that. Yeah, horror movie chat. That'll draw the viewers in.
And this week we only watched 2 movies.
Yes, but I still think we should put up a third one, which is
Yeah, I'm not done yet.
the newest Black Christmas
That's what
remake.
makes this the extra special Black Christmas special. Because I don't have to talk about the crappy new one.
Yeah. So we
And there's no way I was going to waste another hour and a half of my life watching that movie again. So I said, absolutely no way are we watching this.
I was going to say, so we'd seen you started us off with the 2006 Black Christmas remake.
Yeah, I popped that on I think the 1st of December. As soon as December hits, I only watch these movies at Christmas.
As
So
I believe it should be.
I get my fill.
Then we went to the original. And not long after I turned to you and I said, well, I know we've seen it, but I can't remember any of it. I just remember not liking it, but should we not watch the newest one again to round out the trio? And you just flat out refused. You were like, I refuse to watch that ever again. So we're going to put it into the ranking order, even though it's
I've
pretty
just spent
obvious
too
where
much
it's gonna be.
time in recent years watching below par horror movies. So there's no way, after knowing that I know it's completely below par, that I'm going to watch it again.
I kind of want to watch it again. just
Considering I only
because
watched Black
love
Christmas in December,
pointing out the flaws.
I'd rather just get my fill of the 2 that I love.
Yeah. And they're both incredibly entertaining. So now when we move on to our classic ranking system.
Before we go into the ranking system, I think it's pretty obvious anyway. A couple of weeks ago, in an episode we had Wishmaster 2, we reviewed Wishmaster 2.
Right.
And there was an actor in there called Oleg Vidov. And he played the friendly Russian guy who befriends the Wishmaster.
Oh, yeah.
I am the big boss, I am
Yes,
number
you don't
one.
need to do the impression.
Yeah,
I know who you mean.
I relish in doing
I know you do.
impressions of people with accents. So anyway, because I enjoy his performance so much in that movie, just one evening, on IMDb, so I just looked at his listings. Turned out he's passed away, I believe in 2017. So I went through his biography, and it turns out he was quite the man. Okay? Oleg Borisov-Vidov was born in the suburbs of Moscow, 11th of June 1943. At 18, competing against hundreds of would-be actors, he was accepted to the acting department of the state film school, VJIK. He then went on to appear in 50 films since 1961, mostly in starring roles, and most importantly, he was a sex symbol of his generation in Russia, and many of his films are still played on Russian television today. And I'll tell you, he was quite a handsome fella in his day. So not only does he have that achievement, in 1985 he defected to the US, began acting in films and television. Then Oleg and his wife obtained international distribution rights to the award-winning Soyuz Multi-Film Studio Animation Library in 1992, helped to popularize Russian animation around the world. And in 2007, they sold the library to a Russian oligarch, so they must have got a hefty sum for that investment. So yeah, not only did he put in a great performance, but quite the man.
Fantastic.
You can't disrespect the man, Karen.
No, it's just, I'm ready to talk about Christmas movies, not...
Well, we'll cut this, but he deserved his say.
No, we're going to keep every second in. So, Yeah, now can we rank it?
Number 1 for me, original. Number 2, remake.
That's so not how we do it, Johnny. But that's okay. I'll fix it.
This is
so
the Christmas
for me,
version.
The 2019 remake is in third place. Then the 2006 remake is in second place. And the original gets the gold.
Yeah, I've got it all in the same order.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and as we said, we're not going to waste any more of our lives on the 2019 remake, except to say that we clearly thought it was abysmal. So moving on to the 2006 remake. I really like this film.
I thought it might have gone chronologically.
We always go from worst to best.
I doubt we've always stuck to that.
Anyway, I've started it now, so we're going to continue with the 2006 remake.
Well, let's continue with that, but I should also let you know that my notes for this film were put on my phone, which is currently kaput. It's dead. It's turned off and it's not come back on, so we'll just see how far we get with this. And this is why you can't rely on technology.
Well, you're in my boat then, because I don't usually use notes.
Because technology hates you. This is why, especially if you're a writer, keep a notepad around. I write everything down on paper.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I really like this movie. It's got such a...
Yeah, I love this movie.
It's got such a time capsule vibe to it. You know exactly when it was filmed, because it's very clean, aesthetically pleasing. There's some somewhat familiar faces in the cast, and yeah, I really liked as well, when you compare it with the original, the fact that they put in a lot of sort of, I guess, Easter eggs or homage moments, and it doesn't feel at all forced. Like, even if, because I think I saw this way before I saw the original, and it doesn't leave anything like, oh, why is that? Like, you don't have to have seen the original.
Yeah, because when you first saw these, they actually came on to television. So we had to wait for you to see the original. So that's why you saw this one first.
Yeah.
And last year they didn't even play it, and I found that out early. I was smart. I got the TV guide, physical copy. I was like, where the hell is Black Christmas? So I just ordered. I just ordered.
I just ordered your phone in like 20
on DVD.
years, and no wonder it's not coming live.
So it's the blessing in disguise, because I really hate having a phone.
Mm-hmm. So there is one aspect to this which is very different to the original.
The whole backstory.
Yeah, we get basically all the info you could possibly want about why everything is happening.
Billy and Agnes.
Which, by the way, is so confusing.
Billy is yellow.
Why did they get an older looking man to play Billy's younger sister? He didn't do a bad job.
Maybe
but it's just like
he looks more of an abomination.
Oh, he just looked like a man in a wig, though.
The movie has a weird vibe, so that just keeps with the weirdness.
The first time I watched it, it didn't bother me. And it's certainly good at putting you off guessing who it might be.
First time I watched it, I didn't even notice.
I noticed. But I thought more and more about it when you kept replaying it. And I was just thinking, like, that's a really bizarre choice. But the guy who played him isn't actually an actor. He's normally, I think, first AD on most productions. And it was one of the top crew who was like, oh, no, I think you should do Agnes. So
you do it.
He just did it. And especially for that fact, I think he does a really good job. It's creepy.
Yeah, he is creepy. The entire movie, the whole feel of it is just kind of off the wall. And what's crazy about that, normally I'd completely go against anything like producers suggest and everything like this. But the things that they apparently insisted were put into this movie were Billy, putting the Christmas cookie decorations into his mum's back and then making flesh cookies. What they also insisted on being in there was the whole, eyeball gouging and pulling out the eyeballs and just showing them and having one of them eat them at one point.
Yes, the eyeball
Stuff
gouging
like this.
is very, like...
The director didn't want any of that in there. And I just thought to myself, well, without that, what that's what makes this movie special for me are those moments.
Well, I think there's, from each film, the original and this one, there's one particular moment that stands out for me above all the rest. And you've just brought it up in this remake one. It's when Billy has just killed his mum, and he's, as you said, used a cookie cutter of like little angel things to get a layer of flesh out of her back. Then he's baked it, and then you see really close up of him dipping this flesh cookie into some milk and chewing it, and it's the most disgusting looking thing.
It is disgusting.
I mean, that is so vile. It completely does the job.
Just a close up on his mouth.
Yeah, with the milk
squelching.
and the flesh and that was nailed, absolutely nailed.
And the way that he kills his mother as well, strangles her with some Christmas fairy lights, drags her down to the floor of the kitchen, and then pummels her with a rolling pin.
Yeah, but that actually brings me to another
Excellent.
thing which is interesting in this one. They don't actually show explicitly that much of the gore. I feel like a lot of it, because again, then that bit when he's smashing with a rolling pin, most of it is covered by the counter, the kitchen counter. You just see him like from above.
It goes on for a while though.
And it does go, you know completely what's happening.
It's not from above, it's from across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see him above the counter, I mean. But yeah, it just, it doesn't rely on that so much. But it keeps the creepy tension throughout the whole thing.
Another
Less
thing they
so than
insisted
the
on
original, though.
they insisted on being in there. So just for a tiny bit of backstory, to the backstory of Billy, his mother is obviously she's got a complete nutcase, chain smoker. She's shown to be to show how evil she is. She smokes a lot. She says horrible things to Billy, like the Russians shot Santa's sleigh down and he's dead and he's not coming to give you any presents and things like this, and he's obsessed with Christmas. And so he has this absolutely terrible childhood. He sees his own father killed by his mother and not his stepdad, but his mother's new boyfriend. So he witnesses the plastic bag over their head and then stabbing. I mean, they really take that and run with this in this movie. That's pretty much how Billy and Agnes kill everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think in that one he sees his dad's eyeball get like sucked out with a knife or something, doesn't he? And that's why he then supposedly takes out Agnes' eye, and then why Agnes does it to other people.
So Billy's mother hates Billy. And when she's moved in, this new lover of hers, there's a scene of her having sex with him at the top of the stairs, and he falls asleep. But she's not finished yet, so Billy's being kept in the attic, in the loft. She looks up to the loft, goes up there, and then we see these disgusting pair of feet. I don't know if you noticed the feet. They were repulsive. So then Billy's mother stands in front of 12-year-old Billy, strips, and then we just see the rocking chair going back and forth.
And it goes straight to 9 months later.
I mean, it's so taboo and disgusting.
Yeah.
But along with the cookie making and the clubbing, I just think it goes well with this movie.
If you're like
these kind of things make the
me,
movie.
You're a sucker for like details actually being attainable, whether it's given to you or you have to work for it a bit. I like there being a clear backstory. And this one ticks all the boxes. Like, there's nothing left unturned in this. You know exactly why Billy... He's had nothing but crap all his life, basically.
He's yellow.
He's been locked in the attic.
He's got liver disease, is that right?
Yeah, you know, as you said...
It's like the yellow bastard from Sin City.
Yeah, so then his mum gives birth to his child. Agnes. And apparently she loves Agnes, but... yeah, I think Billy
she loves her incestuous child.
Yeah. Billy just snaps one year, I think. And that's when he you know, gets out of the attic. He attacks Agnes by ripping one of her eyes out. And yeah, that's when we see this clubbing and eating.
Agnes gets the old bag over the head and one of her eyes pulled out by Billy.
Yeah, but he leaves her alive.
You know, his mum...
They interrupt him.
They interrupt him because then let's just call him the stepdad, starts running towards him and Billy pulls something out, stabs him right through the eye. That was one of the best bits of the movie.
Yeah.
Possibly that was with the unicorn, which is a reference to the original. The sharp glass unicorn.
Yeah. They also have, aside from actually giving us the backstory, as we said, in all these flashbacks and whatnot, they also have the at the sorority house where everything happens with these girls, they have the like tradition
of putting Billy's present under the tree.
I
you
really thought I was going
stifled
to
it.
sneeze. It didn't come out. Yeah, they have this like whole backstory about Billy used to live there. They don't seem to know all the details because that's how we find out as well. It's one of their boyfriends. Turns out to be a bad boy, who fills us in, and the sorority girls and their house mother, and the house mother is an actress who
Miss
was
Max.
in the original as one of the sorority girls, which I think is another fun touch.
She plays it's Andrea Martin, who plays Miss Mac in the remake, and she plays Phil in the original.
And I really like her in this.
Yeah, I like all the girls in the house.
The funny thing with the house mother in this remake is she starts out as seemingly just really likeable. She seems like she cares. Very traditional, but yeah. However, when things start going wrong and the sensible girl is saying like, oh, we have to all stick together, we can't leave, there's no blah blah blah, the house mother's like, see ya! And she's just out the door, and lo and behold, everything keeps going wrong. If they had just... I always think with these films when they're like, oh, we should stick together, it's like, but they never actually do it. Like, why aren't you all just together in one room? I find it way harder to imagine that things could go wrong in that case.
It's one of my favourite things about Black Christmas 2006 is how mean-spirited it is. The first kind of instance we get of that is in the opening when Billy is locked up in the asylum institute, and there's someone walking through the corridor giving out the Christmas dinner and all this kind of stuff. And obviously he manages to escape Billy, and the way he does this is there's a Santa impersonator, and he basically kills him and he puts on his outfit and puts the guy into like a bin bag and carries him over his shoulder, walks out the asylum back door, chucks the body into a bin, and then we just see the Santa outfit also just left in the bin, and that's just a message. Here's a Santa outfit in the bin.
And again, even that,
spirit.
You get the full explanation of how he got out. It's not just like, oh, he's escaped, he's coming back. It's like,
and it's not rushed or anything, is it?
No. Everything is given to you in this film, which, like I said, I don't think it's for everyone, but like me, you'll enjoy it.
We see him eat through the little hole, that they have in his jail door.
Very gross.
It was disgusting from the first minute when he's eating.
And it's got that.
And you get the homages because he's sitting in his room, rocking back in the rocking chair and things like this, which he does to the first victim in the original.
And when he gets his Christmas meal, there's like some meat on the plate, and the guy serving it goes to the other guy like, tastes like chicken. 'Cause it's chicken.
Yeah.
It's so stupid and obvious, but it gets me.
It is.
Every time. Yeah, it's really dumb.
So you like all the stuff about Billy, then the flashbacks.
Yeah, I think it's all quite silly, but they kind of shot it in that way as well. They still managed to make it look festive in Very
the flashbacks.
much.
And when we go into the sorority house where all the modern day action is going on, that is especially effective Christmassy, I find, without going completely over the top.
No,
So
it's wonderful.
So it's
for
a
me.
horror movie.
As a Christmas lover as well as horror movie lover, it's the perfect mashup.
Yeah, it definitely has the Christmas vibe in the movie rather than just saying, oh, here's a Christmas movie and we just...
To me, Black Christmas feels more Christmassy than Home Alone.
Yeah, well, I'd certainly watch this movie more than Home Alone. I don't hate on Home Alone.
That's not to knock Home Alone either.
No,
but
I like those.
To me, yeah. And I
This
noticed
feels
the
more like
difference
Christmas.
because you can see the 2000 edge compared to the original, where
It's not Christmas to me
Christmassy,
without-
but it's a lot less professional. Like these sorority girls in 2006 have hired some professional decorator to come in and deck out every surface.
And it's definitely not Christmas without, some suffocation and face stabbings.
A noose of fairy lights.
Well, that's the whole reason that I need to, because I rush bought the DVDs last year because I was like, oh, it's already December, I need to get them now so I can start watching. So I just got what I could, but the artwork really sucks, especially on the remake. It doesn't say Black Christmas to me whatsoever, so I need to get the one just because I'm an idiot who played exactly the same movie, but I like the girl with the tinsel and fairy lights wrapped around her head, dead. Might just be fairy lights. So we've got a house of sorority girls, much like in the original. and they're all, I guess, kind of homages to another. Because there's one piss head in this one.
Yeah.
Then you got Margot Kidder, who's a piss head in the original Barb.
Yeah, they've very much got, as you said, they're paying respect to each of the characters. But the thing that, again, they changed out is, instead of one of the girls' dads, this time it's an estranged sister.
Sister, yeah.
So they've actually they've taken out one of the male characters and replaced them. But I actually really like that choice. I thought it worked really well.
Yeah, the sister was Lee, so the older sister Lee turns up, played by Kristen Cloak, and she is the sister of Megan, who's already been offed in the movie.
Megan's the first one to go.
Megan's the first one to go, yeah. And
again, I noticed with this, because Megan's actually, I guess, supposed to be
Megan's
the
second one to go. The first one to go is the sorority sister just sitting. Is that Megan?
That's Megan, the one who's writing. She's writing the letter to her estranged sister, or Christmas card, should I say? And then she puts down her fountain pen.
So I definitely confused.
And next thing you know, she was stabbed in the eye.
A couple of characters at some points, like
I
early on.
didn't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So the very first one is the good girl who's trying to fix her family feuds, rather than the one you'd normally expect in a horror movie, which is, we've got a drunken, I guess some people would call her a slut, I don't know. Just, supposed to be the version of one of the characters in the original. And anyway, she is not the first one to die, for a nice change of pace.
See, I thought Oliver Hudson, who plays Kyle...
He's such a dickhead in this movie.
He's going out with a character called Kelly at the beginning, right? He's sitting in the car with Kelly, they're making out or whatever, and he wants her to spend Christmas with him, but she says, no, I want to go with my sorority sisters. And then it cuts to, I thought it was Megan looking out the window. So who's that character then?
So I think you're talking about the girl who had a sex tape with Oliver
Kyle,
Hudson's
yeah.
character, right? Yeah. No, so I think that's one of the other sorority girls. Megan is the one who's drinking a glass of red wine and writing the Christmas card out. She is a different sorority sister who, I think the story is not even that she was cheating with her sorority sister's boyfriend. I think they'd seen each other before the other ones got together, but unbeknownst to her, Kyle had filmed them, and apparently his co-worker got mad and uploaded
So
his
Claire,
sex tapes.
I must be thinking of then.
Yeah, I have to remember. I don't remember the names very well, but yeah.
Talking of names, the character Billy's mother, this is just for us, her name is Karin. I never see any Karins anywhere. Yep.
That's so
Karin
random.
Konoval. I can't see anywhere that it says it says born in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
So not Sweden.
Well,
she was
brilliant.
I was about to say she was arguably the best performance in the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone's fine, obviously, but she just has more to do, I guess, and she does it incredibly well.
Yeah, really, really good.
Really good shots of her as well.
So I think the twist in this one...
I just want to say, we mentioned Kyle.
Yeah.
So when we go back to the sorority house and all this, and he's dating Kelly from the sorority house, and he's used as a red herring in the movie, isn't he? Because he just turns up in, I think, Megan's room.
They think it might be him for a while because yeah.
And when he first comes out of Megan's room, let's call it Megan's room. He comes out of the bedroom, and all sorority sisters and the house mother are at the top of the stairs, and they're saying, "What the hell are you doing here?" And he's pretty much straight away, "Fuck all you bitches."
Yeah, he's not a great person in this, but another
spoiled bitches.
There's a different red herring though, and I think probably a stronger one, which is there's like a slightly odd girl who comes down the stairs at one point with the gift, which again is homage of that unicorn glass head that is used as a murder weapon in both movies. And then she sort of is not seen. Turns out later on that she's been offed as well. But
doesn't her head ends up atop a Christmas
Agnes
tree
at one point, I think. Yeah. I remember the first time I watched this, there was a point where I thought, well, is she supposed to be Agnes then? Because again, it's mentioned, where does she have to be? She doesn't have any family. She doesn't have a job. Where is she?
Yeah, because Carl informs us that Billy's been carted off to the asylum, and Agnes ends up in like a care home, but no one wants her
No
because
one
of
knows
her
where she's
history,
gone
and then
either.
she disappears after that. Yeah.
So the twist at the end of all this is that it's been Agnes for most of the time,
In the
killing
house.
everyone, and Billy is there towards the end, which leads to the second standout moment for me, because there's a point where, in that sort of space between the walls,
Mm-hmm.
what is she, Kelly?
Lee.
No, the younger girl.
The younger girl's Kelly.
Kelly. So Kelly finds herself halfway down the building in this little space.
From the attic.
With Agnes coming to groggily beneath her and Billy climbing down from above her. And there's no escape. And you know what's going to happen if they get her. And it's that classic thing of, like, you know that Lee is going to come and rescue her. She bashes the wall out, gets her out. You know it's going to happen. But nonetheless, it still has you just, like, curling your toes and, come on, like, get out of there.
Yeah, that was you noticed that on first watch.
I did.
Yeah.
That stuck with me.
And it must have done because you mentioned it for this viewing as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let go of it.
No, I think everyone has their own things that get to them, and for me it's that, in that situation, it's the claustrophobia of there's like no escape. There's nothing she can really do.
You say Carl is a dick in this movie,
Yeah.
and it's shown in the way that he dies. He dies the same way as pretty much everybody else, just the bag over their head and stabbed, but he gets a much more violent stabbing in the head, more multiple shots to his face. Yeah. So you think he gets what he deserves with that at the end?
Well, I don't think that's necessarily what he deserves.
He even says as much. He's like, I didn't kill anybody. I didn't.
No.
I'm not a bad guy. And he's right. He didn't really do much.
Well, filming someone without their knowledge or consent is quite...
That's extremely bad behaviour, don't get me wrong. But to then be suffocated by a bag and stabbed in the face...
Well, that's what I said. I don't think...
Yeah.
I don't think that was quite...
I'm talking more just in the world of horror movies. I guess he does deserve to die in the world of horror movies.
Well, I guess he's the most satisfying one to see go, if you want to say it like that.
Yeah,
but,
fuck all you bitches.
But yeah. And not even Lee survives. We're only left with one possible survivor, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Because we end up in the hospital at the end.
After we think everything's been sorted. But
Billy's
everyone
burnt
knows
to a crisp.
that the baddie can always come back one more time from death.
And Agnes does. But then she takes a defibrillator to the face
Yeah.
and bleeds out of her orifices.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah. Short, sweet, satisfying, but a bit annoying that there's only one person alive.
You like more survivors?
Yeah. I feel like there'd
Well,
been
you must have
enough-
really liked the characters then. Maybe it's because, we've got one of your favourite mean girls in it as well.
Yeah,
You see
Gretchen
Chabert.
Wieners.
Yeah, she plays Dana.
But she wasn't in it that much, really. I could definitely see the Mean Girls performance in there as well.
Something else the producers insisted on being included in this was Michelle Trachtenberg's character, Melissa. You could also almost call her the main girl of the sorority. Her and probably Mary Elizabeth Winstead. But anyway, she dies at the hands of Agnes, I believe, and Agnes obviously takes her eye out, but then sticks her fingers into her socket and drags her along the floor. And that was another inserted scene. It's all these outrageous scenes, which...
That's unusual.
It is completely unusual, yeah, because I was thinking to myself, it was the director that said, these scenes were forced on me because it was around kind of the torture porn era, Eli Roth's era, Hostel, that kind of thing. So they had more gratuitous violence. And the director kind of complained about it, but I was thinking, so in place of that, what would there have been? Nothing, because without those crazy moments, all the crazy moments that you seem to have opposed are, for me, as I've mentioned, what make the movie special.
Yeah, I think it all needs to be there to make it as good as it is. Definitely. I would enjoy it less, I think, if it didn't have those moments, because it's such a great sort of juxtaposition with all the tinsel and the music and...
When you said this movie feels more like Christmas than the legendary Home Alone, I agree, because I put this movie on to fall asleep to. It feels like Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But with a hardcore horror edge. Yeah. 10 out of 10. I love this movie.
So-
This movie was hated on release, by the way, and it says it was a financial failure. It still made money at the box office, but only say like 6 million or something. But then when it got released on physical media, it made back 3 times its budget. So it is a popular movie in the horror world.
I can see what problems people would have with it. Again, you just always fall into that trap with a remake because it's not the same as the first one, and if your tastes run a certain way, then you'll always be disappointed.
It's in my top 3 Christmas movies of all time, along with the original and Die Hard. They changed position.
Right. So I think we should move on to the original because I'm sure there's things we bring up here that will actually hark back to the remake as well.
The 1974 original.
74.
Yeah. Directed by Bob Clark.
It's got some funny moments in it as well, doesn't it?
Hello? Hello?
I don't think that's intentional.
Hello?
But yeah, the main girl. What is that accent though? Like, is it...
That's Olivia Hussey, who plays Jess.
Because it sounded almost like...
British.
British, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time she answers the phone a lot, and every time it made me laugh. Not in a, like, mean-spirited way at all. It was, again, just... I don't know, so unusual.
Yeah, when she gets on the phone, it is funny.
Hello!
And it's not the first time she does it either.
No, she does it all the time,
When,
which makes it funnier.
the triple hello thing, I think it was the second time she picks up the phone. It was the first time it's like, hello? Who? What?
Oh dear, I really enjoyed all the performances in this one as well, but the one...
I just mentioned that Olivia Hussey,
Yeah.
who plays Jess,
Yes.
she is most famous for playing Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, the one directed by that guy, Zeffirelli.
Okay.
Yeah. It won like a couple of Oscars for
Yeah, I
costume,
think I've seen
cinematography, things like this. She was also
Long time
considered,
ago.
she was one of the, however you want to see it, most beautiful women in the world in her time. And she's also in It as Audrey Denborough. Mm-hmm. She does quite a similar thing coming down the stairs, like, Bill, where are you going?
So, the only, I'm going to say character that I didn't love, actually no, I guess there were 2. It was both of the more adult characters. The dad, I just feel like he could have done a bit more with it.
Oh, Mr. Harrison.
I just found that a little bit flat compared to what you could do with it.
He's looking for Claire, his daughter that's been murdered.
Yeah, so his daughter's missing.
She's the one rocking the chair, isn't she? She's the first one to die. Suffocation.
Just like in the remake.
No stabbing, just suffocation, this one.
Yeah, they don't have the whole eyeball thing.
And then she's plopped into the rocking chair in the attic, and loads of creepy shots of her just rocking back and forth with the bag over her face.
It looks, creepy.
It's quite unnerving,
great.
isn't it?
Yeah. And then I didn't really appreciate so much the house mother character in this one.
What, you were cracking up? Miss Mac?
Yeah, Miss Mac.
When Mr. Harrison comes to visit, and she has to...
But that was the situation, it wasn't so much... I don't know, I feel like it was the whole, like, hiding booze all over the place and weird... It was all just a bit...
hiding booze in the toilet.
It was a bit try-hard.
And then drinking
it. Didn't quite...
Yeah, it's a bit kooky. It's definitely kooky.
And she wasn't a nice character, obviously, which... Yeah, but...
Karen likes all the horror characters nice and for all of them to survive. That's what we're finding out during this Black Christmas episode.
So not true. But it has to be a certain type. I said I thought Agnes did a really good job in the remake, so she wasn't nice. Anyway, and also, you can tell it's 70s because the Christmassy decorations, although they are there, haven't got quite the same sleek look.
You're not approving of it, no?
No, I don't disapprove. It's just a lot more rustic.
A rustic Christmas.
Retro.
Right.
Which it is.
Do you think that Olivia Hussey's character's jumper was retro in this? One with the 2 hands reaching onto her breasts.
Yes.
That was strange.
Yeah, what a random choice of wardrobe. It's so distracting. I don't think you're supposed to notice what they're wearing most of the time. But that one you can't help. She's just got 2 massive shadow hands gripping her.
Yeah. I mean, has just picked it out herself and, oh, it'll look nice.
Maybe they thought nothing of it at the time.
Maybe she's sending out signals.
If you don't mind, I'm going to jump straight in with the most iconic scene of this one for me. As I mentioned, for the remake was something else. So for this one, it's the unicorn kill. There's a moment where you see with the lighting just sort of her hand losing its life power, just flopping, and they have the whole like choir thing going on in between at the same time as the killing. And I know this is something we see really often, you know, someone being killed at the same time as something innocuous happening that they can cut between. But I just think in this case it was done really beautifully, if you want to say that, for a kill.
Yeah, so Jess, Olivia Hussey, she's being distracted by carol singers at her doorstep, essentially, isn't he? While upstairs, Barb, who's had too much to drink, is laying in bed, and yeah, she's stabbed by the glass unicorn. And again, yeah, it's a very effective scene, but my God, the carol singing just really gets on my nerves. High-pitched children's voices singing carols just
like
really... When we put this on for the second or third time, or I did for, last week, by the time I got to the second view, I just fast-forwarded just very slowly through the singing children.
I'm not going to lie, I was thinking the whole time... But it is effective. I was like, first of all, if that was at my door, I would hide and
get out of
pretend
it.
I wasn't in. And then if they weren't leaving,
Off
I'd be like, yeah, tell them to leave, because I don't like it either. And also, she was there for ages.
Make my ears bleed.
Isn't it cold? Like, you're letting all the heat out.
Don't know any Van Halen.
But, cat's going in the drawer. But yeah, no, I still think the way it was shot was really, really gorgeous, and the lighting, and the fact that, again, you don't necessarily see the straight up gore, you just know it's happening.
So this movie's 52 years old.
Crazy.
It looks pretty incredible. At the beginning, when we see Billy coming home from the POV cam, and he's like walking all around the outside of the house and climbing into the attic. And then once he's into the attic, he sees Mr. Harrison come into the house and leave again. Also, he like throws a fit and he just starts trashing the attic. And at the same time, he pushes the rocking chair, which has our first victim in there still. And he's like squealing. He do these dual voices and things when he makes the phone calls and when he's freaking out. The whole thing is just very off-putting. And there are only a handful of these types of horror movies, if you want to say these types, right? So you think like Psycho, 1960, I think that was. This is 72, and then before that you get there's a few movies or at least one movie from the killer's point of view. Then you get this. So this is influenced. This could arguably be, and it's not laughable to say, the most influential horror movie of all time in terms of the amount of kind of tropes, cliches, whatever you want to call them now, and general story that we get. So this is the movie that inspired John Carpenter to write Halloween. He was like, this is the way to go. So it's before all of that. Obviously that's held up as one of the kings of the genre and stuff. But the things that you see in this movie, so calling from inside the house, that's obviously using When a Stranger Calls, which has its own movie, a remake. Also you got the whole Scream vibe, getting threatening phone calls. And the use of nursery rhymes by the killer is something that we've seen so many times, and obviously the POV shots. There's so many things and movies that this movie has just gone on to. They've all stolen from it, essentially. Absolutely countless movies.
Yeah, and I think the creep factor in this, I briefly mentioned it when we were discussing the remake, but I'll say it again. This is a creepier film than the 2006 one.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And even though it has got some laugh out loud funny moments, it's got less of that comedic tone throughout. It's more realistic humour in a weird way, although that cop is so dumb.
Officer Nash, the one who writes down fellatio for the address.
Yeah.
Yeah, Margot Kidder comes into and plays with him. Then John Saxon, who's in this.
Yeah.
Of Nightmare on Elm Street fame.
He's playing the same character.
Yeah, I love it.
He's great, but he's playing the same character.
So yeah, the whole inept cop thing. That's something that's run through the ages as well in horror movies. Another thing that this movie has.
So the thing is with this one, you don't you don't really get any explanation. You
No, that's
hear
what makes it so
these,
good.
and that's what makes it creepier. But if, like I said, that's one of the things I like with the remake is that you get all these answers. So with this one, it makes me have to like try trawling through the internet to see if there is some clues that add up to what the full story is, because Billy does say quite a lot, and he mentions like the name Agnes,
Hmm.
and Mum and Dad want to know what have you done with Agnes.
Yeah,
And
he's
you
recounting experiences from
clues.
his childhood, isn't he, and reliving the trauma of all of that.
But because you never really know which voice, because as you said, he does multiple voices, and you don't know who's supposed to be who. So maybe if I watched it way more times and could hear every word he says, I'd piece out some more of the story. But I'm not sure if there is any, or if they just put this dialogue in, because it's like that thing again that's very 70s, where they've got this shocking language that you don't have as much of.
It's so good
nowadays.
the way it's delivered as well over the phone.
And it is shocking.
In the first threatening phone call that we were actually privy to, when Barb gets the phone, she's like, "Hello!" 3 times. We then hear Billy talking down the phone, and he's saying like, "I want to see your pretty pink C word," and the way it's delivered is just pure filth. And then he's like saying stuff like, he wants to be pleasured as well, and just brilliantly done. What I heard afterwards is that was all done in post.
Yeah.
So they had the director, Bob Clark, reading actually quite tame dialogue to the ladies.
Yeah, I heard that as well. So because he wanted their reaction to be quite low key.
I think it's just possibly just before this phone call or just after it. We have, Barb is the piss head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Barb is the piss head. I think I just mentioned that she takes the phone call. Hello, but no, that's Jess. She says to, I believe, Phil, "You can't ape-ray a townie." You were talking about the shocking language.
Mm-hmm.
That is something, I guess, so of its time. Possibly, I don't know if it's really of its time. It's just, I've never seen or heard anything so forthright.
Yeah,
a comment
the only
like
thing
that.
that always makes me think of a
But it's
genuinely
just a movie.
shocking film is The Exorcist.
The
And
fact
again,
that it
that's
can
70s,
shock.
isn't it? So,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. There's something great to be said about the 70s.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, again, like I said, with this language, not only do you not really get it in the same way nowadays, but even if it was there, I just don't think it has as much of a shock factor.
It's always too try hard
Yeah.
when they do it in more recent films, isn't it?
It is.
Another cool bit in this, first victim up in the attic in the rocking chair, and there's a cat in the house, Claude, and he's always being called after. Claude jumps on to the suffocated corpse and starts licking away at it.
Yeah.
Beautiful touch.
That cat causes a lot of mayhem.
Yeah, that ends up killing Mrs. Mack because she goes into the attic after Claude, and she ends up getting that hook in the face, and then she's dragged into the attic.
Absolutely. That's probably the most over the top death in this film, I would say.
Do you know, there's something actually quite funny. So we've mentioned, we found the dialogue quite shocking. And Jess, Olivia Hussey, she has a boyfriend, Peter, I believe his name was, and he's a bit of an arsehole. And they have a whole abortion angle. The story has an abortion angle where Jess has found out she's pregnant. And so he wants to rush her into marriage, but she's not ready to do this because he just wants to give up his life as a concert pianist, things like this, and she's not ready to do all this. Because this is quite I don't want to use the word female empowerment, but it's one of those kind of movies, isn't it? It has a
It's
kind of
incredibly feminist,
Yeah.
this role, for sure. She's choosing herself over
in a much better way
else.
than anything more ham-fisted recently. This has a more natural feel to
But they
that.
also-
But I just wanted to say, maybe the whole abortion thing. They were asked if it was a political stance or whatever you want to call it, a personal stance. They just said no. We just needed them to talk about something, and we just came up with this.
Yeah, I know, which I find really hard to believe. Especially because it was not long after the whole, vote went through and all this. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that they did that for the 70s one, and in the remake, the point of contention, as we mentioned, is the sex tape thing.
When Peter lays all this out to Jess, saying that they should get married and have the baby, no doubt he's also used as a red herring because he says you'll be sorry, and he's been in the house a lot of the time.
He's definitely implied as the killer, and
Yeah,
then
big time.
which gets him killed. But the thing
We
that
see him skulking in the dark
that
outside
was
as well.
one plot hole for me, which was that sort of iconic moment when Olivia Hussey's character sees Billy's eyeball through the slit in the doorway. Do you know the bit I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So she's gotten quite a good look at his eye, and I feel like surely you recognise somewhat if that's someone you know. So she would have surely figured out at that point, oh, that's definitely not my boyfriend. Well, that definitely is my boyfriend.
Maybe that's my boyfriend in psychotic mode.
Don't think your eye colour changes much.
I just said he's gone psychotic. That could change his eye colour. This is a movie, Karen.
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
That's what I said to you last week. Yeah, okay, fine. But so he gets himself killed by her, I think. But we don't really see that. We see her being scared, and oh, that was another thing. How does he know that she's in the basement? He starts knocking around the basement for her, but I'm like, how do you know she's in there?
They just know.
It's not satisfying to my logical German brain. I can't handle it. But it was all done really effectively, and I think the performances from the arsehole guy as well was great. He was really unlikable.
Yeah, Peter. I've just been taking a nap in the house.
Such a... yeah.
Yeah, because Jess ends up killing Peter because she suspects him.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so that's another thing that just directly we get Sydney in Scream, who ends up killing, or fingering the wrong guy in the first one.
She does
Liev
what?
Schreiber. And in the second one, she gets Jerry O'Connell killed. I like this movie. You like this movie. Also, Steve Martin loves this movie. He did a movie with Olivia Hussey and apparently went up to her and said, I love that movie that you're in. And she thought he was going to say Romeo and Juliet. He said, no, Black Christmas. Rob Zombie apparently is his favourite. And the one and only, Elvis Presley, insisted on it being a Christmas tradition that they watch this every Christmas. Although I'm not entirely sure how much of a tradition it could be, seeing as this movie came out in like 72 and wasn't put on TV until 74, and he passed away in 77. So he would have seen it a grand total of 2 times. But apparently the Presley family still keep this up to this day. Who knows if that's true or not, but thank you very much.
Why wouldn't you? It's definitely our tradition now. Especially since you got the DVDs and apparently you're going to get a second copy because you don't like the artwork.
I just can't abide by that. Look, show the artwork. Just don't like it. Yeah, bland. I want the fairy lights.
Yeah. This looks more like
I'm just going to waste
some
£5.
sort of like out in the wastelands, snow. Yeah, it doesn't really look like.
Maybe I could sell that one for like 3 pence.
Oh, great. Maybe just give it away.
When this movie
Make someone else's Christmas. Give it to someone unsuspecting.
Hey, maybe we could give it the big heathen giveaway. Here's this DVD that I bought for 50p. It can be yours.
And it looks shit.
Just let me know why you like Black Christmas. There is no right or wrong answer. Just the one that I like best.
Mm-hmm.
I believe when this movie was first shown on television, the producers wanted to change the name. They had a problem with the name Black Christmas because they thought that the public might mistake it for a blaxploitation flick. Like Black Christmas. That's the kind of thing they'd be thinking. Like Shaft.
I'm sure that exists as well, though.
Like Blackula. Yeah, I love that they thought this. Oh, we can't put it out as Black Christmas because we might confuse fans of Shaft and Foxy Brown, and they'll be disappointed. Black Christmas is just a perfect title. Is this movie more effective than all the ones that it's influenced, or the ones that are? So we just go with Halloween, When a Stranger Calls, and Scream.
Is it the most what?
If you compare the menacing phone calls from Scream and Black Christmas, the menacing phone calls from Scream are really good, but they're nowhere near as hardcore as Black Christmas. Nowhere near as chilling.
No,
It just
I
works
think
on a different level.
I can't answer that question unless you want to be really specific in what way, because...
It wasn't really a thing. It was like out of them.
Yeah, no, I get that, but...
Because you've seen all those movies quite a few times, maybe apart from When a Stranger Calls.
I think it's better than A Strange Calls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Blows it away.
I personally do prefer it to Halloween. Scream is a hard one to go up against because I love it so much, but it's a very different thing. I'd still give this one the shock, creep, just great filmmaking factor. But out of certain... I love the look of, 90s, 2000s movies. It's just so...
We watched one of your favourites last night, Joyride, aka Roadkill. We're going to have to review that movie because I'm just going to need to hear why you hate it so much. So good.
Probably because you keep making me watch it. So dumb.
I haven't watched that movie in ages until last night.
Any more times would be too much for me now.
Candy cane.
Such a dumb movie.
Rusty nail.
Dumb movie. So, anyway, is that wrapping up the Christmas special? No, not yet. Of course not.
Where I said that I agreed with the producer's choices in the remake, in the original, the ambiguous ending, they didn't want that. They wanted clear cut. And again, that's the thing that makes the movie, is the ambiguous ending.
Yeah.
To have the phone ring at the end.
Well, nowadays you've got the choice. If you want to be left wondering, watch the original. If you want everything handed to you, watch the remake.
They're just not similar in any way, really, are they? They're completely different films.
But when you see them back to back, there are so many direct...
Yeah.
They've taken a lot of things to the T. A lot more so than a lot of remakes, I would say. They've stuck with a lot of the character types. They've stuck with a lot of the order of the kills. They've done a lot.
I would have liked it if someone in the remake could have gone, hello! Hello! Pardon, what? That would have been my favourite throwback.
Yeah.
About 2/3 of the way through the movie, they tap the phone in the sorority house. They need to keep the kid on the phone so that they can trace where it's coming from. And it was probably, just not as effective for you, and I guess even me, because I saw this film after loads of others that it influenced. So the fact that Jess finds out, she's like, oh, it couldn't have been Peter because he's been in the house with me the whole time. And then she's told by John Saxon, well, the calls are coming from inside the house. That's a groundbreaking thing. That's a new thing that they've done there. And it's been done so many times.
But isn't that from that urban legend? Surely that's been around for longer than the movie has.
Possibly, but it's the first time we've seen it on the silver screen in there. Major slasher. And that's something that's carried on several times as well. It's just... it just must have been just a whole different experience to see that for the first time. Something that's never been done before. It's the whole reason why any other found footage after Blair Witch just didn't do anything for me whatsoever, because it was just so good. It nailed what it did, and you're just not going to better it.
So, one last thing I want to mention before we wrap this up is I have a Christmas present wish because of the movie, which is a poster of the grandma going from serene to ever so slowly flipping the bird. I love that poster. I need it in my life. So, yeah, we'll be back with another Christmas special, and we have something very, very exciting.
Do we? Do I know
to be
about
revealed?
It?
Not.
Oh right,
the next
that.
episode,
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
revealed for the channel. So, stay tuned.